RoadHouse.
That was awesome, and its message is timeless.
Are you ready for action? Are you ready for adrenaline? Then adjust your seating and get ready for a beating as we look into RoadHouse! Yeah! In 1989, Patrick Swayze sidekicked his way into RoadHouse, the testosterone-fueled badass action movie about, well, RoadHouse, where Swayze plays John Dalton, a tough, no-nonsense security guard with a love of kickboxing and mullets, who is hired to try and sort out the unruly behaviour of a country roadhouse. A trucker's bar full of all kinds of alcohol-induced bad behaviour. Dalton is on a mission to clean up the bar and to show the troublemakers of this town who's boss, where Dalton must come across his ultimate enemy and face the only person who is strong enough to stand up to him in the form of Wesley. This short, middle-aged man who in no way looks like he can take on Patrick Swayze. Okay. But to be fair, Wesley is totally a douchebag who has it out for not only Dalton, but the entire town, as he sends his goons to do his bidding and wreak havoc in the community, where Dalton gets the help from his friend and mentor Wade, played by Sam Elliott, where the two of them wage war on the local thugs to not only save RoadHouse, but the entire town. I mean, what's not to love about RoadHouse? It's fun, fast, action-packed with plenty of 80s cheese to boot. And above all, it's kind of like the ultimate story of standing up to bullies. But anyway, sit back as we explore 10 amazing facts about RoadHouse. Number 10, from Wesley to Predator. Due to his kick-ass action abilities, Patrick Swayze was offered many tough guy roles after RoadHouse. Unfortunately, a knee injury got in his way, meaning that some of our favourite action movies had to be Swayze-free zones. He was offered the role to star in Predator 2 and Tango and Cash, but unfortunately Swayze didn't want to be an action hero with a limp, so he opted to star in Ghost. So instead of battling it off with an alien predator, he took on Willie Lopez and his dark alleyway robbing shenanigans. That bloody Willie Lopez, I'm telling ya, he sure does know how to ruin a theatre date. Number 9, Family Guy joke. Family Guy paid something of a loving yet humorous tribute to RoadHouse, in which Peter Griffin buys RoadHouse on DVD for $1 at a DVD sale, in which the kick-assness of RoadHouse completely takes over Peter, where he frequently beats people up and smashes property, followed by looking into the camera and saying,
RoadHouse.
The joke has become so popular and recognisable, now when some people even hear the words RoadHouse, the first thing that pops into their head just might be this funny Family Guy sketch.
RoadHouse.
And of course, the segment had everyone saying, RoadHouse. Number 8, sequel. Why oh why? So for some reason, RoadHouse got a sequel in 2006 called RoadHouse 2 Last Call. And if you've never heard of this movie, that's because it wasn't shown at a cinema near you, as it was a straight-to-video release. The movie didn't even star Patrick Swayze, making it feel more like a cash grab trying to capitalise on the RoadHouse name. This time the action focuses on Dalton's grown-up son, Shane Tanner, who is a DEA agent but agrees to help clean the riffraff out of his uncle's bar. Because hey, this is a sequel to RoadHouse, so we have to throw a RoadHouse into there somehow. And the movie involves secret agents and drug dealers and a subplot about Shane trying to find his father's killer. So yeah, not only does this movie rip off the original RoadHouse, but it has the audacity to kill off Dalton, and in true Jaws the Revenge fashion, it claims that he died in between movies. Jeez, I wouldn't be surprised if it was the fear of it that killed him. Basically, I would say that no one likes this film, but I think the more appropriate question to ask is, did anyone actually see this film? Number 7, Patrick Swayze gets his jam on. What people might not remember so much about Patrick Swayze is not only was he an actor, but he was also a musical artist too. He even appeared on Norway Top of the Pops. So not only did Swayze lend his kickboxing skills to RoadHouse, but he also lent his voice and got his pop star on, as he sung 2 songs on the film's soundtrack. One of them he even wrote, those songs being Raising Heaven in Hell Tonight and Cliff's Edge. And to be honest, he actually doesn't do too bad at being a pop star. I mean, granted, he will always be an action hero in my eyes, but his voice still pulls it off. And he is nowhere near as awkward as that time Bruce Willis tried to get a musical career off the ground. Ugh. Number 6, there was nearly a different Doc in the house. In RoadHouse, there is a love interest for the Dalton character called Elizabeth Clay, played by Kelly Lynch. And what I like about this character is the fact that she's a doctor with intelligence and empathy, which is an interesting contrast to the more loud redneck crowd scene in the bar. She's very beautiful, but at the same time, she's not a bimbo, and does come across as someone Dalton would fall in love with. However, Annette Bening was originally going to play Dr. Elizabeth Clay. Like, as in she was properly cast and everything. But sadly for Bening, she was fired on the account that Swayze felt that there was just no chemistry between himself and the actress, so she was let go. Damn, Bening had some bad luck in her younger years as an actress, as she was also cast as Catwoman in Batman Returns, but had to step down from that too on the account that she was pregnant. And it is a little harsh being fired from a movie because the co-star basically felt like there was just no magic between you two. Then again, Swayze's and Clay's chemistry in RoadHouse is pretty hot and sexy, so maybe it was a fair call. Number 5, misleading locations. The film is based in Jasper, Missouri, in order to give the movie a small country town, middle of nowhere kind of feel. But not one single frame of the movie was actually filmed there. Instead, the movie was actually shot in California, with many of the buildings in the movie actually being built specifically for the movie, including the barn that the Dalton character stays in. Back in the day, California doubled for a lot of other American states, as there are quite a few movies which are meant to be set in other parts of America, but instead were shot in sweet old California. Another example of this is Scarface, which was set in Miami but actually filmed around Los Angeles. Number 4, no time for doubles. According to many of the cast and crew, the actors in RoadHouse performed their own stunts and took part in all the fight scenes themselves. Swayze even got trained up by an actual kickboxing champion to prepare himself and his body for the role. And Swayze must have been fully dedicated, because some of his fight moves in the movie do look pretty brutal. Actor Sam Elliott said that the fighting the actors were doing to each other was so intense, he spent most of the making of RoadHouse getting the shit kicked out of him. Wow, I hope you got a bonus for that. I know that if I went to work every day and was getting punched in the face, I would ask for a pay rise. Number 3, Swayze versus the mullet. If there is one thing that's more epic than Swayze's badassery in RoadHouse, it's his epic golden mullet. Oh yeah, those long locks just embody everything that was great and awesome about the 80s. However, Swayze himself hated the mullet. He couldn't stand the damn thing. He would even go on to call it the bane of his life, and would go on to swiftly get rid of it after filming. But seriously, the mullet couldn't have been that bad. After all, because female fans were constantly following Swayze and throwing themselves at him during filming of RoadHouse, he literally had to have bodyguards for his protection to keep the fans at bay. And I bet that was because the power of the mullet was too much for them, and they just wanted to get real close and see it for themselves. And if this photo shoot here is anything to go by, his mullet wasn't too intense. And then, wait a minute. There's a mullet there, and yet the mullet is gone here. There, gone. There, gone. There, gone. What the? And look, they're wearing the same clothes and everything else, so this appears to be the same photo shoot. Like, how did his mullet mysteriously disappear and then reappear? What David Blaine shit is this? Either way, next I'm going to talk about the most obvious thing you would expect to talk about in a video about RoadHouse. I'm going to talk about Bill Murray. Wait, what? Number 2, Bill Murray finds the sex scenes amusing. According to actress Kelly Lynch, her husband and Bill Murray are actually pretty good friends, and she further claims that whenever RoadHouse is being shown on TV, Murray always rings up her husband and playfully taunts him about the sex scenes involving his wife. It seems that throughout the 90s and 2000s, not only was Murray a fan of not starring in Ghostbusters 3, but he was also a fan of making fun of his friend's wife's cheesy 80s sex scenes. Classic Bill Murray. Okay, well here's a bonus fact for you guys, as a way of saying thank you for all the support and for watching my videos. So here's the bonus fact. Very mixed reception. When RoadHouse was released in May 1989, it made $30 million on a $15 million budget. So although it made its money back, it was still a financial disappointment, as there was anticipation from the studio for the movie to make way more money than it did. RoadHouse actually got pretty positive reviews, with Roger Ebert labeling it as a good bad movie. Despite its optimistic reception from critics, RoadHouse was still nominated for 5 Golden Raspberry Awards, including Worst Actor for Patrick Swayze and Worst Director and Screenplay. However, despite the fact that RoadHouse seemed to really piss off whoever was in charge of the Razzies that year, RoadHouse still got something of a wink and a nod from the organisation, as it made it into the Razzies' official book, The 100 Most Enjoyably Bad Movies Ever Made. So there's still that. I guess they didn't completely hate it. RoadHouse would go on to grow into the cult status that we all know and love thanks to its home video release and being broadcast on cable TV. So RoadHouse's popularity was something of a slow burner.
I want you to be nice until it's time to not be nice.
Number 1, original cut of the movie. Believe it or not, but RoadHouse was going to be longer. Like, as in a lot longer. The original cut was 2.5 hours. Seriously though, it's just a movie about a bunch of goons at a bar. How did it come up to being 2.5 hours long? Wisely, the movie was trimmed down, but many people have noticed that the movie's trailer features many of the scenes that ended up on the cutting room floor, no doubt confusing the moviegoers who at the time went to see RoadHouse after seeing the trailer, and not understanding why certain parts of the trailer were not in fact in the film. Well guys, that was my adrenaline-fueled look into RoadHouse. I hope you enjoyed it, and you should seriously go and check it out right now. It's a pretty darn good film, and there are worse things you could be watching. Anyway, I'm Minty, and RoadHouse!